Hello, my name is Leena Asher, and I'm here today as a teacher, a mother, and an avid researcher of the neuroscience of well-being and happiness. I am hoping I can give you some strategies from the research I have done that may help you navigate through this time. We're all understandably coping with different sets of challenges. Some of us are on a work from home status, and some of us also have our children and their schoolwork to monitor and assist with. Some of us have these responsibilities as well as challenges around keeping our homes clean, making sure we have groceries and other food items stocked and available, as well as the preparation of food and what ensues at the end of every meal, the big cleanup. Moreover, as parents, we're looking for our children to come through this period of time without feeling the trauma of this time. This is a time that can overwhelm you, and that is normal. There are things, however, we can do to keep our anxiety in check. So here are some of the things that I have done to keep myself feeling grounded. What I have done is to create a daily schedule, much like I would if it was life as usual. I wake up and sleep at the same time every day. I do a 10 to 40-minute meditation depending on how much grounding I need. I have kept my peak hours for creative productivity, my lean hours for learning things I'm deeply interested in. I am doing a life purpose course from Udemy at the moment after just having completed a neuroscience-based coaching program. I keep my brain in snooze mode to do things like watch movies. I keep an hour aside for connecting with those outside my home, for connecting with my friends and colleagues in India, and my family in Australia. I use Zoom. This hour of connection ensures that I don't feel emotionally disconnected in any way. I keep 2 hours a day for leisure, watching movies and shows, listening to music and reading. I use an app called Walk at Home and do a minimum of 30 minutes physical activity a day. As you negotiate your own timetable, sit down with the rest of your family and make sure everyone else has their schedules as well. Think of your peak productive time and make sure no one else will need you at this time when you are scheduling their day. To help yourself and your children through this time, I would like to introduce you to a concept called reframing. Some amount of fear and anxiety is natural and normal, but a focus on this will balloon you to stress. And this is something we all want to avoid, as ongoing stress can lead to trauma. While I will guide you through this for your children, you will be able to use the same process for any negative thoughts you are having that could do with some reframing. So now let's look at what reframing means and how it helps. Every situation or experience can be seen in multiple ways. Some of the ways you see this time, your thoughts, your inner dialogue about this time will help you mentally and emotionally, and other ways won't be helpful at all. Every story you as a parent think, feel and act on will impact the way your children see this time. So let's talk about this first for parents with younger children, and how a subtle shift in rewording will affect how your child sees this time. If we say, "We have to stay in because the government says we have to. The coronavirus is very dangerous. It spreads easily and can kill people." If these are the words your child hears, he or she will see this as a very scary time and will see him or herself as a victim. Stress chemicals, cortisol, will flood his or her body and create periods of stress. Prolonged periods of stress will cause trauma. What if we were to say this instead? We are choosing to stay home, where the virus cannot reach our bodies. If we all hide together, the virus cannot find people to live in. The virus will then die. We are all fighting the virus together before it can hurt more people. The child will then feel a sense of control over the situation and will have a more empowered mindset. For those of you with older children, have them understand that some of the language being bandied about, such as lockdown, has very negative connotations of a loss of freedom. It conjures up images of jail cells. Ask them to reword these to more positive images and to think about the freedom they enjoy in spite of the situation. Thanks to technology, they can continue to communicate with their friends, verbally and visually. They can continue to learn. Tell them stories when once upon a time you only had Doordarshan and a Sunday movie, to a time today when they have choices of platforms, Netflix, Prime, and so many others, and a choice of entertainment at their fingertips. Reframing means for us to understand that while we cannot control every situation, we can control our thoughts about the situation, the inner dialogue that we have, and therefore we can change the story we tell ourselves. By doing this, we will change what we are experiencing. This is your opportunity as a parent to develop in your child a mindset that makes the best out of anything that happens. For those of you whose homes relied on caregivers who are no longer available to cook or clean, look at this time as an opportunity to engage in purposeful parenting. In an article I wrote for Indian Express, which is available on my Facebook and Instagram page, I discussed the fact that the role of parenting is not about protective upbringing. Children must be taught to meet their lower level needs of survival and independence while they are still young, so they can start a journey of self-actualization, which is where true meaning and life fulfillment is experienced. This is an ideal time to jointly sit down as a family and create a list of chores for mom, dad, and everyone else at home. Doing chores helps children learn to be responsible, feel competent, and boost their self-esteem. And this boosting of self-esteem will reflect positively in all other areas of their life, this time and beyond this time. Make sure male members of the household have as much of the load as female members, and teach your children an added lesson of gender neutrality. At this time, give yourself and your children some slack. If you have a day that is not productive, embrace it with love rather than resistance. Do the same for your children. Their emotional well-being is more important than getting them ready for assessments or exams. What your children will learn at this time about the fragility of life and their resilience is more than they could ever learn from a textbook. Bring up a subject of communication and connection at dinner time, and put aside all digital devices at this time. Ask open-ended questions such as, what might the virus be here to teach us? What do you think we fight and hoard at a time like this? Why do you think they do so? How do you think the virus may change what we value as humans? The leading experts on happiness tell us that a kind act produces the single most reliable increase in happiness. Children will watch and model your behavior. So use this time to reach out and see how you can be kind to people in your home and outside your home. I am doing something as simple as sending meals to the watchmen of our building, to looking at ways I can contribute to people who are fighting and working for us at the front lines. I am aware that as my son watches me, he will model my behavior. Be mindful that our children don't have the same filters that we adults have, and that all the news and social media coverage will heighten their anxiety. The more our children are exposed to fear-based media, the more likely they are to have a pessimistic worldview rather than an optimistic one that knows the world is safer than it has ever been in the history of man. You are an adult and you can choose the news. What we do not realize is that the children in our room are also consuming the same news. So at this time and at any other time of uncertainty, I would ask that you consider reading a print or digital version of the news. If you have children in your home, you limit this checking or reading to once a day. This time will pass, and when it does, we want our children to feel that the outside world is a safe place. Finally, gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to make ourselves happier. So after dinner, go around the table and ask each family member to name something that they were grateful for on that day. Thank you so much.